Hi, I'm Seamless, and today is Friday, which means it's time for a new How to Bass. And today I'm going to show you how to make this sound. I didn't set up the lights properly, so I look all dark and stuff. And this reminds me, I should buy lights. I should buy, the LED panels that you can actually get to make stuff look better. Because, y'all have been nice enough to give me money on Patreon to buy lessons on, buy my music, and to give me money in a whole bunch of ways. I should actually use it to make stuff better. Like, get light panels, put them over there, shine them on me so I look actually lit and well and present. Not only that, but video quality increases dramatically when the subject in the composition is well lit. And as it turns out, despite, it looks like it's not, but it's actually kind of dark in here, even with all the lights on as much as possible. Anyway, as you can tell, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you can probably guess what's about to happen here. This is essentially, EQ modulation. These guys are not notch filters. That's a bandpass filter. These guys are notch filters, and that's a bandpass filter. And there's distortion and equalization in between the two in the bunch. And then there's actually some phasers, which are new. I kind of added them in there to sort of do some cool stuff. I'll talk about what's happening with them. But honestly, all of these are sort of not, all of this is not really new information. What's new is sort of just the concept of how I used Harmor as the source sound. Now, I don't actually know what this sounds like as a source sound. So let's find out. Derp, 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 derp. That sounds hilarious. So, essentially what happened is that I gotten pretty good at doing this style of Neuro processing for basses, using Citrus, and I would do this, messing around with either the Citrus's additive window and mess around with phases and then FM it and then add in some signs underneath it that are different pitches to get the resync kind of effect. And that's all really cool. And then all the neat things that I got with the bass, I did the EQ modulation with it. But then all the neat stuff was about changing sort of how the source sound acted to sort of get it to do what it was doing. So I figured, okay, well, nothing is really as good at messing around with source sounds in terms of harmonics and phase like Harmor is. So I decided, well, I'll try and do all the unique things that Harmor can do and see how that turns into, translates into sort of the Neuro style of stuff. Turns out it was pretty good. So let's just sort of disseminate what I'm doing here. Disseminate. That's not the word I wanted, but you know what I mean. Deconstruct, I guess. Sure. I knew that I wanted to go with a square type sound, so I put it on the square side. And then I randomized phases, so I get a kind of, it makes a sort of washy sound. It's hard to tell when everything's happening. I'm using the harmonizer, which is a little interesting. What the harmonizer does is it doesn't actually play higher notes. It takes a section of harmonics and then copies them and just pastes them up higher. And the way you can control essentially how it does it by the width here, it selects from the bottom to the top what harmonics is going to copy. Then the strength knob is how hard it copies it. And then the amount is just sort of how mix. That's fine. And there's ways to kind of mess with it, but the default harmonizer is essentially octavating what you have. And there's other things you could do, but I didn't really mess with that. I tried on the prisms and kind of gave us some. I didn't change the prism at all. I just turned it on a little bit to see what happened. It sounded cool, so I kept it. A lot of these decisions I made actually while the end results was playing with the EQ modulation setup. I did, however, start with unison on 2 voices with the Hertz mode. The Hertz mode, the way that's different is that if you look at an equalizer of some kind, and you see the distribution of how the harmonics, how the frequencies work, where over here this section of 50 to 100, that's how much that area occupies, and up here 5 to 10,000 hertz is the same amount of space. This is how it's just one way of looking at it, the harmonics or the frequencies rather, in terms of weighting. But the reason why we look at it this way is because if you have a A440, A5, that's 440 hertz, and then to go another octave up, you go twice that, and then go an octave lower, you go half that. So that means that the higher the octave you go, despite being an even skipping of notes values, it's double the amount of frequency values. So this means that if you're doing something like unison, for example, and you detune a voice by a certain amount, if you want all of the frequencies to detune together by the same note value, that means the higher frequencies have to actually be detuned more than the lower frequencies. And that's what these regular unison modes do. Classic, blurred, uniform, and random. The Hertz mode is called the Hertz mode because it doesn't do the even weighting of unison mode. It doesn't actually move fully by note value. It moves the lower harmonics by the fundamental essentially by note value, but then the rest of them are all moved by the same Hertz amount. So this means that if the detune amount is by 1 or 2 Hertz at the low end, it ends up being 1 or 2 Hertz at the high end, which is not correct. But it does create a sort of very interesting sort of profile. It's also randomized every time. Sort of the phases are always different. I'm not totally sure why that is, but that's what's up. I also have randomized voices on, so that's gonna happen anyway. And then I have the phaser engaged, and I have it on harmonic mode with low width and all these particular settings, which are not nearly as important as the shape I'm making. Now with this shape, it's essentially, this is the default shape. I just put another point down and I made a big flat part. And this is what's getting us that bell sounding sharp stuff. Now, the reason why they're not like solid lines coming in there, they're kind of staggered, is because I'm on the harmonic mode and the shape that it generates is also influenced by what the unison is doing. And there's a reason for that. And I figured it out once, but I forgot. And that's not super important anyway. Harmonic unison, I am actually screwing around with, and so the unison is a bit different. And this is standard practice for when I make Reese's and Harmor, so that's why this is all staggered and weird. But there's also something else that I'm doing that matters what the phaser is doing, and that's in the advanced tab. I came in here, I turned envelope granularity all the way down, which just means it's going to be very high quality. Turn on perfect, just because I thought maybe some of the stuff I'm doing matters, but again, I'm distorting the crap out of it, so maybe not so much. Over here, this is the unit order for the additive processing. And I've put the harmonizer after the phaser. Remember what we said about what the harmonizer does, where it takes the harmonics that are there and copies and puts them up higher. So the fact that I put it after the phaser means that the harmonic activity as a result of the phaser is going to be copied and placed up higher. So we have not only the phaser's actual activity, staggered up as a result of the shape and the width of the custom harmonic mode, but also because of the harmonizer selection. And that's all kinds of weird. Am I doing anything else important? It's a little bit of panning. Well, I'm distorting it in the distortion section. I literally just turned on log and left it there. Actually, I probably could have turned that on and that would help. But not much else is happening in here that matters. So yeah, that's the source sound. I'll give you this patcher patch so you can take a look at it yourself later. The order of things is pretty standard. The way that I tend to create these sorts of things is there's a stack. It's the idea of a stack. It begins in this particular style. It begins with EQ modulation, and I essentially have a bandpass. It's a little wider than usual. The bandwidth is a bit larger, and 3 notches this time around instead of just 2, just because. And then they're moving around. The bandpass movement is a lot sharper and sort of calibrated than the notch movement, because the notch movement is really just there to create character, essentially, just change the character of the sound itself. And the bandpass is kind of like the actual rhythmic filtering. Now let's listen to what this sounds like by itself. Now, the reason why I showed you that is because I actually had a lesson with a student a while back, like 2 or 3 days ago. And by the way, if you don't know why I do lessons, there's a link in the description of this video that has all the information about that. And we were talking about sort of like what the stack is and why we do what we do. This first part about it, as you see, it it messes with the sound, but it also takes away a huge portion of it. And you can use makeup gain to make it louder, but that's not really gonna cut it, at least not in my own opinion. So the first thing I do when I do that is that I bring in compression. Now this compressor, this is Maximus. I'm using the multi-band cut. I guess I'm leaving the master on, which is not super what I wanted to do. Yeah. Anyway. The point of the Maximus is to kind of regain per area of the spectrum. You have low, mid, and high, kind of regaining its sort of very controlled makeup gain for what's happening with there. And the reason why I'm doing it this hard, because if you notice, it kind of took away almost all the modulation. The reason why I'm doing it this hard is because every stack that I make, I'm usually going to make another stack afterwards. And then all that we just did really is just going to contribute to the, much like the notch filters in the first EQ is going to contribute to the character of the sound. And then the next stack is actually going to be what ends up being the rhythm. And you can keep doing this stack after stack after stack after stack. I just chose to do 2 for this one. Boop, boop. And then it goes into distortion and it gets distorty. What the phaser's doing is that I put them in. I just 2 of them. I put in there once, one here and one there. I put this in here to kind of give more kind of sort of spectral striations in the sound. And I have this EQ here that I use to kind of look at it. I have this high pass actually going on after the phaser because it does actually, even if I put it on 100% wet, it does still actually, have bass in it. And doubling up on bass going into distortion is just going to mean that the higher frequency is going to be harder to hear, and it's going to sound a little bit rounder than you may like. So that's why I kind of used the high pass to sort of rein in a little bit. It mattered more over here than it did over here, and that was set the taste when I had the whole chain engaged the whole time. Now that's sort of that's a good point to make actually, is that when I'm making this stuff, it's very rare that I make an individual sound knowing what the last sound is going to sound like. I usually make the entire thing and then I make changes to various things while the whole sound is happening. Like, for example, I made a lot of the decisions that led to what this patch is in the very beginning while this whole thing was on. And then, so it's not as if I started out with the idea that I was going to make this weird-ass sounding patch and then do all this crap to it. I made all the crap to it, and then I made the patch the way it is. I mean, I wouldn't have known to do all that even if I thought to. But then again, the point that I was trying to make with this sound was that I wanted to make something weird and like harmonically active going into the stack idea. Here's one stack. Here's another stack. Look at that. Some stacks. And you can just keep doing this, to your heart's content. What's also cool about the phasers is that it changes over time very slowly, because I said this, the frequency to be tiny and then the actual min and max to be less. So the effect is subtle, but it changes as the more you play it, which is why when I demoed the sound early on, I let it play for more than just the one iteration of the automation, as well because of how the phaser reacts in here and how the random harmonics, the random phases as a result of the Hertz mode and the actual phase randomness play out every time a bit differently. So the automation is a big part. Automation sort of governs the overall sort of character, but then every time it plays, it is just a little bit different in ways that I might not have expected, which is pretty important. It's pretty powerful, because if you get stuck in our own kind of ruts, what ends up happening is we make derivative stuff of our own things over and over again, which can sometimes be fun, but it can also sometimes lead to stagnation. I don't really like that. Anyway, that's pretty much all there is to this. I guess I'll put out the FLP, because you want to have this automation here to have this example sound. Yeah, there's nothing in this project at all. Put these things, and I'll get rid of these. Alt delete. That's not Alt. That's the Windows key. Alt delete enter. Oh yeah, and I have this easy keys thing open. This is kind of random, but the Tune Track is a company that makes Superior Drummer. And they also make this plugin called Easy Keys, and they have a lot of other keyboard types. I only have the Mellow Tune, which is a recording of the Mellotron. It's actually really badass, but that's not important to this project. Har har har. Anyway, If you have any questions about any of this, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.